Someone yelled real loud one time. Oh, everyone believes in how they think it ought to be. Oh, everyone believes, and they're not going easily. Leaf is a beautiful armor, makes for the heaviest sword, like punching underwater. You never can hit who you're trying for. Some need the exhibition, some have to know the try. It's the chemical weapon for the war that's raging on inside. Oh, everyone believes, from emptiness to everything. Oh, everyone believes, no one's going quietly. You're never gonna win the world, you're never gonna stop the war, you're never gonna beat the sick belief is what we're fighting for. You're never gonna win the world, we're never gonna stop the war, you're never gonna beat the sick belief is what we're fighting for. Is there anyone who ever remember, never surrender, with their life for line? We're never gonna win the world, we're never gonna stop the war, we're never gonna beat the sick belief is what we're fighting for. We're never gonna win the world, we're never gonna stop the war, we're never gonna beat the sick belief is what we're fighting for. What puts 100,000 children in the same leaf can? Leaf can. What puts a folded flag inside his mother's hand? A leaf can. Leaf can.
I think it's time we found a way back home.
Good morning, Watershed. So glad that you are here today. Want to invite you in, whether you're here in person or online, and welcome you into the space. We're going to spend the first part of this morning singing together. So if you're willing and able, I want to invite you to stand as we sing together this morning. I will let love find me. I will let love surprise me. I will let love redesign me. I will let love, when the waters rise and the levee breaks, when my world starts feeling like an earthquake, when your love starts singing in and I can see on the way, your open arms, your open arms. I will let love find me. I will let love surprise me. I will let love redesign me. I will let love, I will let love, I will let love find me. I will let love surprise me. I will let love redesign me. I will let love, I will let love. You won't stop, ever stop chasing. My heart won't stop, ever proclaiming your love for us. There's no containing. Your love won't stop, your love won't stop. Oh, you won't stop, ever stop chasing. My heart won't stop, ever proclaiming your love for us. There's no containing. Your love won't stop, your love won't stop. Oh, you won't stop, ever stop chasing. My heart won't stop, ever proclaiming your love for us. There's no containing. Your love won't stop, 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 your love. I will let love find me. I will let love surprise me. I will let love redesign me. I will let love, I will let love, I will let love find me. I will let love surprise me. I will let love redesign me. I will let love, I will let love, I will let love, I will let love.
lay down our weapons, open up our hearts, love is breaking us, love remaking us. Will we ever rise? Will we ever rise above the pain? Can we learn another way? Forgive as you forgave. I can see another day come. Broken people, we can be made whole. We can be made whole. We can be made whole. As we lay down our weapons, open up our hearts. Love is breaking us, love remaking us. Don't feel now. Take away short-sightedness, so we can see what we were meant to see. We feel devastating darkness, so I can see another day come. I can see another day come. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole. We can be made whole. We can be made whole. As we lay down our weapons, open up our hearts. Love is breaking us, love is making us. Heal now. Take away short-sightedness, so we can see what we were meant to see. We feel devastating darkness, so I can see another day come. I can see another day come. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole.
When we come into a space like this, sometimes we can sing the words and sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can show up and sing for others, and sometimes we can't, and it's okay. There's no expectation of being okay to be present. One of the things we talk about often is the ability to be yourself, the ability to be you in a room like this. And for so many reasons, the past few weeks, there's a lot of noise saying you can't be yourself. And so whether or not you can sing the words, "We can be made whole" today, you can be yourself here. You can be yourself in this room. So I want to sing those lines again, and a little bit of a kind of a mantra-esque, allowing the rhythm of it, the breathing of it, to give all of you permission for whatever you need this morning. Permission to be yourself, permission to breathe, permission to be angry, permission to be sad, whatever it is. There's a permission in the idea of wholeness. So we're going to sing that line a few times, then we'll continue in the morning. Broken people, we can be made whole.
Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole. Broken people, we can be made whole.
I also want to acknowledge and give a little bit of space for there are people who lost their life this week. And whatever you believe about wholeness and where it happens after you die, there's a gap. There's a real way in which kids lost their parents. Friends are gone. And this happens all the time. It happens every day. Sometimes in the news we're reminded that it's near us, it's around us. And so I want to take a moment just for maybe take a few deep breaths. Remember those that are still here who are grieving. God, we invite presence this morning. We invite your presence. We invite each other to be present with all of the parts of us that make us who we are. The things we love about ourselves, the things we hate about ourselves. God, it's all here. It all matters. And God, in this space of mystery and divine where we try to figure out how to interact with you, God, may that veil be just a little thinner this morning. God, we're grateful for a space to be ourselves, to engage one another, to be near, to be seen, to be loved. We pray that this morning would be exactly what each of us need. In your name, amen. Thank you guys so much for singing with us, for being here this morning. We're going to give you a bit of space to greet one another. It is flu season, so if you're sick, just wave, smile, say hi. But let's do that for a few moments, then we'll continue.
I'm a member of the teaching team here and honored to be here with you this morning. And so let me acknowledge this, okay? Let's celebrate. We've gotten through January. We have gotten through that. We're now in February. February is a month of love. But this is also the month of Black History Month. And I don't care, and Watershed doesn't care if that's official anymore or that's unofficial. Because at this church, this group of people, we don't need February to know to love each other. We don't need Black History Month to know and honor what black people and brown people have been through, their hardship, how they have been treated, or to celebrate their fortitude, their beauty, their brilliance. We don't need a month to do that. We will do that, and we are dedicated to doing that here every day. So thank you for standing with that, applauding that, being a part of that. And we are in that together. That is not why they asked me to stand here today, but I'm an Enneagram 8, and I'm mad. So if you are new to Watershed, welcome. We are very loving, caring people, and we want you, as much as you want to be connected and have opportunity to be connected. So we have a QR code, and y'all, we think we're so cool because of this QR code. Because we're all older, so we think this is so amazing that we have this. And so if you want to get more connected, please fill out this card. You don't have to do it once. We will contact you, want to check in with you, see your level of involvement. There's no force whatsoever. But there's other ways to get involved as well. We have this amazing thing starting here Monday night, February 3rd, and that is the Movement and Meditation Group. So this is a fusion of meditation and yoga. You can come here, room 115, and do that right here in person, or you can do it online. And if you do it online, childcare is provided. We're a good church. We're good people. We care about your whole family. You also can get involved in blocks. Lisa Stevens is here. She's an amazing woman. If you have not spent time with her, please do. She has a group that talk about faith and the many questions they'll have about faith. They meet every other Monday night at your house. No, she's like, you cannot come to my house. She's like, I draw the line. Panera Bread is where okay, in Union County of Matthews, Mint Hill kind of area. Okay, it is somewhere in North Carolina. If the Lord wants you there, you will figure it out. You will get yourself there. There is we have a QR code. Go there, click on it. It will guide you. We also have a group starting here. I promise you that. Lewis is leading a group based on Britt Barron's book, and that starts this week from today. Please know that it happens before church, and probably about 3 more people could get in on the group. So if that's on your heart, you need a little bit more support around this topic, please allow yourself to be a part of that. And as you go to our cool QR code, you'll see that there is a form you can fill out to learn more about blocks and all the things that are going on. All right, so many ways to connect. The real reason that I was asked to be here today is that they asked me to talk about why my wife, Larissa, and I are so generous with, I don't know if we're really generous, but let's just say, yes, we're generous with our time, with our energy. My wife, provides her talents. I provide my attitude for everybody, and obviously our financial resources. And honestly, y'all, I almost would rather go see my OBGYN than talk about money. Almost. It's hard to talk about money, especially within the church. But let me tell you this. I was here Friday night, and I was here Saturday morning and early Saturday afternoon, and there was no place to park. You know why? Because this church is more than traditional church. There are groups here all throughout the week. 12-step programs meet here. Nonprofits like ICU Talks meets here. There's things happening here every day that people are allowed to come here and create room for themselves, for their issues, for people who are marginalized. Things are constantly happening here at this church, and that is part of why we give our money, we give our time, because we know it goes beyond just what happens on Sunday morning. We're so grateful. This is Affirming Church. You know what affirming means? It means that we are allowed to fully be ourselves and not just be partially involved in this church. We can take the stage. We can be in different ways. Lisha does production. There's no limitation. You're allowed to express yourself as you are, and y'all, most churches just aren't like that. And so we want to make sure there's a tomorrow and other people get to walk in this door as well. So we're grateful. We're grateful for all that y'all do for the community, all the things that happen. And that is why we give our money. We give all the things that we can. But can I tell you something? If you're not in a position to give and you're in a season to receive, please let yourself do that. You are welcome here, whether you're giving or you're just in a season of receiving. Do whatever it takes for you to make room for yourself and make room for others as well. So just keep showing up, be yourselves, and now the band is going to continue to impress you.
There was a time when I tried to hold ocean in my fist. I mistook the language for the light. Was a tightness that gripped my soul, bubbled at my wrist, choked me within inches of my life. Now I'm letting go. I can finally breathe, I can finally breathe. My hands are open, reaching out, learning how to live without, learning how to lean into the grave. I've had enough of black and white, find another way and I will lean into the grave, lean into the grave. There was a time when I tried to find and bottle up the seas. I tried to hide my heart inside my head. Was a maze of these vicious lines that cut through everything. Pulled against them till my body bled. Now I'm letting go. I can finally breathe, I can finally breathe. My hands are open, reaching out, learning how to live without, learning how to lean into the grave. 'Cause I've had enough of black and white, find another way and I will lean into the grave, lean into the grave. I will find another way. I will lean into the grave. Now I'm letting go. I can finally breathe, I can finally breathe. My hands are open, reaching out, learning how to live without, learning how to lean into the grave. 'Cause I've had enough of black and white, find another way and I will lean into the grave, lean into the grave. Yeah, I've had enough of black and white. I'll lean into the grave.
sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Glad people are still getting a kick out of that. Not as glad as Matt is, because he made it. Good energy, excellent. I'm gonna need that. I'm David, by the way, I work here. Yeah, that song was cool, band. And Kim was cool. It's probably downhill from here. I thought a lot about what I wanted to talk about this week, and nothing came to me. On top of that, my allergies are awful right now. Temperature fluctuation, it's a thing. So I am hopped up on Benadryl and essential oils. Thank you, Larissa, Kim's beautiful wife. So here's what we're gonna do. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm kind of excited. I'm gonna start talking in a minute about something. It'll come to me, I am confident. In the meantime, while I'm beginning to do that, go ahead and put my phone number up there. Yeah, some people have. So a ton of you are new, and so we've never done this with some of you, and then Betsy's not new, so she's excited. But yeah, so my phone number is gonna be on the screen, my real phone number, which you can use liberally. And yes, that is it. And I want you to text in questions, which I will then answer in real time. A few guidelines, Kimberly. A few guidelines. I'm gonna prioritize questions that feel to me, completely subjectively, relevant to the series. So this series has been an exploration of what do we do with the people in our lives, or an exploration of just all the things that factor in when we're thinking about navigating, feeling through what does it mean to relate to the people in our lives who believe, maybe live or vote differently than us. And so by extension, questions about the intersection of maybe faith and politics, faith and culture, faith and society, all of those are live options. I can see a few of you right now texting in different things. Dan is over here wanting to text me about Luka Doncic being traded. There's some English Premier League games going on right now that some people are unhappy with. So yes, I'm aware of all of your other troubles, friends. But like I said, I'm gonna prioritize the questions kind of thematically related to the series. But you know what? Shoot your shot. I might get excited about it, and we'll answer it. So I don't know if anything's come in so far. So I'm gonna have to bide my time. So while I'm doing that, while you're thinking, while you're pontificating about what it is you want to ask me as it relates to this series, one thing that I was thinking about this week that didn't develop into a full series, or a full talk, but can at least buy me 5 minutes here, is just the frustrating, perhaps sobering reality that no matter what we do as a people, as a nation, as spiritual people of faith, Christians, perhaps even for some of us, over the next couple of years, we kind of have to live with two consciousnesses in two lanes. I might call those lanes, the is versus the ought. I might call those lanes, kind of short-term, long-term, to be, a little uncomfortably evangelical about it, the already but not yet. And what I mean by that is simply that there is, how do we show up in the world individually, collectively, spiritually, politically, and otherwise in the short term? That's the is, what is right now, what vulnerable peoples do we need to stand in solidarity with? Do we need to make space for? Do we need to step outside of our own comfort zone, privilege, what have you for? And then there's the ought. And unfortunately, at least for me and how I'm showing up to some of this, there are some irreconcilable contradictions between the is and the ought, because in the ought, in the long term, in the not yet, there are realities about just the state of our world, the state of our climate. I don't mean our political climate, I mean the actual climate, hence the allergies. That regardless of how anyone voted, they're kind of universal, and so, there's a world in which, to kind of harken back, oh, now my phone is blowing up. There's a world where, like, a few weeks ago, Cedric talked to us, I think quite brilliantly about, the tension between having enemies and loving them. And, there are folks who we might be experiencing as our enemies in the short term, who in the long term, regardless of whether they love us or hate us, like whether we like it or not, we're kind of all in this together. I don't really have any concrete, trite answers to how we get from here to there, how we kind of hold that tension long term, but it is kind of what I was thinking about this week. So maybe in a few months I'll have a talk based on that. But I'm going to turn now to what you have been asking. Oh my gosh, I have 21 text messages. I don't even know where to start here. So I'm just going to go with, wow. Okay. This is going to be chronological. Here, because I haven't done this in a while, here's a promise, all right? I will answer every single one of these. You just might get them in a text message form if I don't get to them from the stage. But here's this first one. How do you, and I'm going to assume this is a general you, but I can also, good call. But I can also answer it for myself. How do you represent Christ in a loving and accurate way while dealing with extreme anger and feeling threatened by the violent rhetoric hypocritical, quote-unquote, Christians use to support our current president? Yeah. So, a few things. And yeah, I am speaking for myself here, so if you don't like my answer, it is not the official Watershed answer. It's just David's. So maybe that is an odd distinction, helps out here at least a little bit. I think there can be what you have to do provisionally in order to, survive in the short term. If that means, circling the wagon, so to speak, and retreating into your echo chambers. If that means whatever appropriate boundaries look like in your life. If it means if you back. If you can't find it, you have my number now, just text me, I'll send you the direct links. I think in the long term, we have to kind of just accept that that Christianity means a lot of different things, historically. I've seen a lot of folks, I've even myself been tempted to do this from time to time, try to make some sort of like rhetorical case to that's not true Christianity. This is true Christianity, or that's not Jesus. And the reality is there has never at any time in human history been a single Christianity. There has only always ever been Christianities, plural. Going as far back as the New Testament, the New Testament itself is a negotiation between, and at times an argument even, between different people who have experienced something in the life of Jesus and are attempting to make sense of it. And so, in the centuries, millennia sense, there have been times when, at least from my vantage point, the way of Jesus has been represented well, and there have been many times that has been represented poorly, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Typically speaking, what counts as orthodox and what counts as heretical is mostly just in relation to who or what is in power at any given time. And so I feel like it's potentially kind of a dead end for us to try to make some sort of case that we have the true and better Christianity, at least from a binary either or sense. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's a fool's errand for us to try to represent, perhaps persuasively, a more just and generous expression of Christianity, or whatever faith and spirituality looks like, if the Christian label is not one you can hold anymore or ever, maybe if you never did. But yeah, I don't think that there is, I'll put it this way, I don't think that there is some kind of gotcha proof text that we're going to be able to show up with to suddenly make a whole bunch of people who are expressing what they're calling Christianity in a way that seems categorically opposed to what we mean by it, and it's just gonna like click into place, and everyone's gonna like, sing Chris Tomlin or something. But it's probably not who we would sing. But that doesn't mean that there's no value in contending for what we think is a better way. I finally reluctantly gave up trying to redeem and reclaim the label evangelical a number of years ago. I actually remember the exact date. It was January 6, 2021. But I haven't given up on Christian yet. And so I think this is a good place to start. I think I have 40 more text messages. How to deal with offense, specifically when an individual offends or offering something with an opposing view. So I think one of the hardest things about being in a place like Watershed is we as humans, and this could be innate to us biologically, I'm not smart enough to know that, it could be more cultural, could be a phenomenon of the era of the time that we live in, but we as people love certainty. Even folks of a more liberal or progressive persuasion, which I'm venturing to guess most, perhaps not all, but most of you are, it's really hard for us to think outside of either or binaries. And so when that happens, and we got into this a little bit in the series, the book, Britt Barron's book gets into this a little bit more, concepts like cognitive closure and things like that. But at times when we begin to identify with our beliefs, with our convictions, when we're finding our sense of self in those things, being presented with differing, opposing, at times even hostile viewpoints, we can experience that as if we are under like legitimate, like life-threatening circumstances. And so this isn't like a catch-all. I mean, there's lots of different things depending on the context, but one thing that we strive for here at Watershed is in the place of certainty, we counter with curiosity. I suck at this, genuinely, but and I specifically have like certain relationships in my life with family or friends who live and believe and vote differently than me. It is so easy to push my buttons and have me just go to a 10 and start going like full like Enneagram 5, going to Enneagram 8, like I will, like Ron Swanson style, I know more than you, I am gonna just beat you down with information. No one has ever changed their mind in the history of humanity with that approach. Where I have had more luck when I have the presence of mind or body, I don't like having presence of body, but we all have things that we can grow in. I love having presence of mind. When I have the presence to take a step back and to be curious, to ask questions, generally speaking, the thing is never the thing. And there's typically something more personal, perhaps unconscious or subconscious, behind the paranoia, behind the fear, behind the thing. And usually, it doesn't mean I can change someone's mind. It doesn't mean either of us walk away suddenly agreeing or voting similarly or anything like that. But generally, I can find beneath the thing the humanity that is informing the thing. And so I think if we see curiosity as a means to finding humanity, that would be a good place to start. I am so stressed right now because there are so many questions here, so many good questions. What can we do to feel less helpless about the chaotic fall of democracy? How can we make a difference? Okay, so a couple things. One, and hear this massive disclaimer with what I'm about to say. I do not want to trivialize, minimize, or undersell the objective or subjective gravity of this moment. Not like this moment, this is whatever, but like this general cultural moment, whatever, what anyone is feeling. Depending on how you're showing up, identity-wise, socioeconomically, there's all these variables, your story, your experiences that I don't necessarily have context for. So what I'm saying is at least descriptive, perhaps not prescriptive. With that said, I do think it's important to remember that this might be new for us, but it's not new. In my own theological education, I am disproportionately influenced by what many call the theologians of crisis. These are folks like Karl Barth, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Rudolf Bultmann, Paul Tillich, who were working and writing primarily from Germany during World War I and II, rise of the Third Reich, amidst the Holocaust, things like that. And they were asking a lot of the same questions and having a lot of the same questions asked of them. And so there's both an optimistic and a pessimistic, or maybe an optimistic and a realistic way of sort of reflecting on the fact that I'm invoking folks. They were not able, these 4 dead white dudes, were not able, or the people around them were not able to sort of hold back the tide of either of those wars or of the subsequent Holocaust and so on. I don't want to say that there's some sort of secret formula, magic bullet sort of thing right here, theologically, politically, or otherwise, that's going to sort of like magically turn the tides. And that wasn't the end. And not in any sort of way that kind of makes us be able to look back at some of the worst atrocities of human history and kind of say, oh, it was worth it because. That's bad theology. But, and this is where we get the title of our strategic campaigns that we do a couple times a year, but there is this sense of, nevertheless, in spite of that, good people persisted. Lives were made, if not whole, together again. And so I do take some comfort in the long view that it is not on me or you or any of us collectively to save democracy. I also take some comfort, all of those theologians of crisis that I mentioned, they fall into a theological school. We're going to get nerdy here for a second. To various degrees, they are apocalyptic theologians. Apocalyptic, as any first-year seminary student knows, means revelation. Apocalypse doesn't mean the end of the world. It means the peeling back of a mask or a curtain, revealing how things truly are, which in sort of an existential sense does kind of serve as the end of the world. So like when the curtain is peeled back and you see, kind of behind, so to speak, the way things really are, a certain way of being in the world has ended. You can't unsee what you've seen, and all of a sudden, there's no way to sort of go back and live in the world the same way that you lived in before. For many of us, perhaps the events of the last 2 or 3 months have been apocalyptic in that sense. We can't go back, we can only go forward, and even if we kind of circle back to the beginning, we're changed. And so, you can only move forward in that sense. But another element of apocalyptic thinking, theology, philosophy that I find comforting is the fact that there's more going on than I can see. There's more going on than is in my purview. To poorly quote a hero of mine, Gandalf, there is more at work than the will of evil. And so I can't tell you how many times when I have gotten so caught up in the narrowness of my anxiety and bordering on despair over the last 8 to 10 years, and then something happens, something that I didn't have a category for moments prior, a kind of rupture or interruption. It could be mundane at the personal level, something happening in my own life. It could be more collective, more societal, more global, more human. And it doesn't magically, it's not like a hard either or. It's not like bad, now good. But it muddies the waters in a positive way that allows me to do the next right thing. I think we're going to need a lot of, regardless, and this, look, this isn't all going to magically go away 4 years from now. All right? Like the problems that we have, many of them are baked into so many systems and elements of who we are as a country, as a people, as a collective humanity, economically, politically, etc. Lots of next right thing thinking, I think, is going to be really important. I have no idea how I'm doing time-wise, but I'm having fun, so I don't care. All right, so gone is my commitment to going chronologically. I'm just going to have to click something here. Okay. I kind of covered that one already. I promise I'll cover them all directly. Okay. These are all good questions. I'm looking for one. They're all kind of in the same genre. You're all kind of feeling the same stuff. While I'm looking through a lot of very similar questions, at least take heart that like the person next to you is probably feeling exactly what you're feeling right now. So I think there is something to be said of like I typically try to shy away from like seeing church or community as like the spiritual shower that you get that allows you then to go back into the week and like get messy again. But on some level, that analogy has some value. And so think of I mean, if this space can be a respite or a refuge even for 90 minutes, we won't go a full 90 minutes, but even for 90 minutes on a Sunday morning, let it be that. Okay. How do we live in a constant? I'm gonna read it. So if you put a curse word in here and I choose your question, I'm gonna read it. How do you not live in constant anxiety and fear with all the absolute bullshit? How do you handle being in community with people that profess to love LGBTQIA folks and minorities, but voted against the people they profess to love? It's such a barrage of bad news 24/7 nowadays. I'm just waiting for dragons. That'd be cool. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is part of the reason that it seems like the news is terrible is because terrible things are profitable. So I do as I say and not as I do here, and unplug where you can. You're not gonna, I mean, you know, worst case scenario, you might miss the worst trade in NBA history until the next morning, but no, I mean, be gentle with yourself as far as the consumption goes, and know that what you're being fed is not all there is. It's what's making the network the most money. Okay, there is more going on, even if you have to find yourself in one of those weird Twitter, I'm still calling it that, Twitter threads or Instagram things where it's just like, you know, there's still good in humanity, and it's like it's like people giving puppies to homeless people. I don't know, like whatever you need to do to, you know, to maintain some semblance of both your humanity and faith in the humanity of others. But really, I think the biggest takeaway there is, it isn't all there is. And again, we like binaries. It makes more sense for us to, you know, it's either all good or it's all bad. It's never going to be either. It's never going to be all good and all bad. And then I would even venture to say that part of what it means for us to be made in, you know, image bearers of God or image bearers of the divine, having on some, I think, meaningful level, the mandate, or at least the invitation to be co-creators. You know, as much as, you know, I think too often we think of the creative act, like in a theological level, like the creative act is like making something out of nothing. You know, you grew up and, you know, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And we can get into all the linguistic nuances about that. Probably not exactly what that passage was trying to convey as far as something of nothing, blah, blah, blah. Nerdy stuff. I'll do a class. Now, the bigger takeaway that I'm trying to get to is that creation is not limited to just, you know, the creation of matter. There's just as much of a creative act in making meaning. Why the matter matters. And we have every bit of sort of divine spark within us to participate in that. And so I do think that there is something, and I'm acknowledging an element of there's a privilegedness to what I'm about to say, because I think in many instances the small acts of resistance in the coming years for many folks need to be just like the sheer sort of material resources that they need to survive, food, shelter, safety, things like that. So that's all true and valid, and I hope that collectively us as a community and many of you individually can continue to be agents of solidarity in that front. But I do think that there is something meaningful, not just humanly, but also spiritually and politically about the creative act. And so we need more art. We need more music. Music is art, but I'm getting more specific now. We need more expression. We need more creativity. We need more imagination. I think one of the most insidious things about the way that our world is structured, not just since November, but at least in the time that America has been what we think of as America, is our complete inability to imagine that things could be otherwise. And so, we can't take people, we can't lead humanity to a world that we can't imagine. And so I think on some level, imagination is meaningful. We're not spinning our wheels, we're not wasting our time, whether it's collectively, individually, prayerfully, whatever that looks like. It's in our mission statement, struggling as if a different world is possible today. Emphasis on the struggle, but also on the possible. Yes, I am watching the clock. I have not completely forgotten where we are. You guys are getting real quiet. And I realize we're talking about like heavy, serious stuff. How do some of us as people of color find compassion for and with people wanting us removed from our own land? Massive disclaimer that I'm not sure the straight white dude on the stage is the person with the appropriate level of authority to answer that question. And, one, you don't have to have compassion for those people necessarily, at least in the short term. I mean, and I mean that like provisionally, like there can be the is and the ought. I think whatever feelings of anger, lament, frustration, fear, all of that's valid. Give space for that. If you try to skip over that, it's going to come out sideways somewhere else. And maybe I want to just leave it at that. I will say this. I don't know if this helps. More often than not, hate is fear. And if remembering that can maybe rehumanize someone, it doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with them. But even if from a distance, if remembering that the person who seems to hate you mostly is just scared, not even of you, they're scared of the alienation they feel within themselves. And that's maybe the one common thing about us. Many of us share different identity intersections with one another. Many of us share many things, but at the end of the day, each one of us is a singularity. We're not reducible to our identity, to our race, to our gender, to our sexuality, to our story or experiences. We're walking contradictions. We contain multitudes, every single one of us. And it's in many ways the inability to reconcile those multitudes that creates this void within us that we're constantly trying to satiate. I think many of us at different times in our life have tried to fill that void with ways that trample over our own humanity and worse often the humanity of others. And so we always need to resist the instances where that becomes systematized, where that's done in mass. But I don't know if there's some sort of political solution where we ultimately and finally solve that problem, square that circle. And so I do think if there is a way forward, part of that way forward is in the collectivity, the universality of just acknowledging that in our humanity, there is a common alienation that we all feel. I think this is a little bit what ancient mystic folks were getting at when they talked about sin, not as some sort of cosmic shame or divine offense, some wretchedness that we've taken on in our blood or in our being. It's not that. But just the sheer abyss of being human. It's the one thing we really have in common. And in that sense, There's even some good news in it, that we actually do have something in common, even with the people most opposed to us. So I would start there. You don't have to be friends with them. You don't even have to be compassionate towards them. You actually don't have to do anything. But if it gives you any comfort at all, deep down in there, or maybe quite on the surface, being masked by all the hate, is much of the same alienation that you feel yourself. It's what makes us human. Reluctantly, quite reluctantly, I might only have time for one more. That's my signal to the band. Okay. This one's for me. Is the issue capitalism or our version of democracy? Austin sent me this one. Yeah, it's a softball. Yeah, man. All right. You guys can take your time. This one's going to take a couple minutes. Okay, look. Cards on the table, and if this is your first Sunday at Watershed, I hope this doesn't make it your last. I'm no fan of our current economic system. You will never hear me be apologetic towards capitalism. Now, I'm not going to be someone who's going to try to show you that any form of modern governance or economics mirrors in some sort of magical one-to-one level with the world of a first century rabbi named Jesus. Nor do I see the Bible authoritative in that way. Like, if we can just find the economic system that Jesus prescribed, then everything, no, like Jesus didn't think the world was going to last much longer. And how disappointed I am that he was wrong about that. No, but here's the thing. And this is, please do not hear this as any sort of endorsement or recommendation for any sort of prescriptive way forward, politically, economically, or otherwise. This is just me shitting on capitalism. There is no incentive by design in an economic system crafted around pure excess. The promise of wholeness that cannot be achieved through accumulation, wherein the most successful people within that system are not the most corrupt. There's no way of squaring that circle. It's just impossible. We can put in religious, ethical, governmental checks, but at the end of the day, there's going to be someone out there somewhere willing to cross at least one more line than you if you're trying to check the system ethically. And so there is no way, if we continue on our current course, that this planet is going to remain habitable for us, or that the cycles of exploitation, othering, the transphobias, the racisms, the systems of marginalization exist to obscure this fact. They exist to divide us at the level of experience and identity so that we are left unawares of the ways that we are being exploited for the God of profit. And there's no way around that. Now, that doesn't mean I want to be super clear here. There is not some sort of redeemed, divine, Jesus endorsed economic system that I can now prescribe to you, So I'm not going to say, now we have to go do this. But yeah, there's no way of, in my opinion, although I am a very educated person, there's no way for us to square that circle. Now that said, I do think that this raises the question of how do we show up as people of faith, Christian or otherwise. How do we show up politically? And whether you're excited about it or uncomfortable by it, maybe this is the most political you've ever heard someone be from stage in a church, which I knew was a possibility this morning, but wasn't necessarily what I set out to do. But I'm going to give you a classic Watershed cliche, both and, to kind of close this. And we're going to, and you know what? This just worked out. So next week, we're going to kick off a new series, all right? And we're going to do that series for 1 week, and then we're going to kick off another new series. But we're going to come back to this new series that we're kicking off next week numerous times throughout the year next year. Because what it is, it's going to be an exploration of the book of Mark through the lens of one particular theologian, a guy named Theodore Jennings. I'm going to have a guest speaker here next week with me who studied under Jennings at Chicago Theological Seminary. This guy's super cool. You're going to love him. And we're going to get into the life of Jennings a little bit next week, and then over the course of the next year, periodically, we're going to explore this guy's, Jennings's commentary on the book of Mark. It's called Insurrection of the Crucified, right? Yeah, we're going to redeem the word insurrection. But really what he's getting at is that the Christian faith, all faith, certainly the life of Jesus, is deeply political. Not in a way that maps cleanly to the binary partisan categories of United States politics or any sort of modern political or economic system. But Jesus was political because humanity is political. The way that we order ourselves, the way that we relate to one another, the way that we be together, be with and for one another, all of that's politics. Without getting into parties and voting and stuff like that, which is super, super important. The way that we navigate our shared humanity is the stuff of politics. And so you can't be apolitical and spiritual. And so if there is any sort of prescriptive takeaway of this, it's that our faith is always going to be as messy as our politics and vice versa. And just as politics by definition are not something that you can practice individually in isolation, I want to suggest neither is faith. And so, as always, on some level, but maybe especially today, the invitation, over not just the next 4 years, or the next year, or the next month, or whatever period of time makes sense to you, is to lean in. And I don't mean that in some abstract sense. I mean really lean in. Sign up for a block. Go to Lisa Stevens' group on Monday evenings if you're not already going to yoga. Do this book club with Lewis McLaughlin, exploring Britt Barron's excellent book. Lean into community. Lean into spirituality. Doing so is a genuine political act, and I do think it makes a difference, if only for you, if not for the people around you. We wrestle as a team sometimes with what does it mean to make going to church compelling when we've removed the guilt and the shame elements that, kind of haunted so many of us in our upbringing. I hope this is at least a piece of it. It's the opportunity to escape, to be encouraged, to cry together, to lament collectively, to organize, not with any sort of messianic delusion that, the small drop in the bucket that we are collectively is going to make some sort of final difference, but at the same time that it does matter. I think you being here this morning matters. I think everything that you're showing up with, the fears, the anxieties, the hopes, the aspirations, all of that matters. All of that is of God. All of that is divine. And I don't have any sort of final answer as to how to reconcile it all, package it into some sort of system or formula. I don't think politics, I don't think life, I don't think faith, I don't think God is that clean. It's messier. But there's something beautiful about that. And the invitation is that we share our messiness together. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with for now. The band is going to play. It'll be great. It'll be awesome. And I will spend most of the rest of the next 72 hours responding to the, I'm guessing at this point, 54 unread text messages that I have on my phone in my pocket. And so many of you will be hearing from me. Hopefully you look forward to that. And thanks for being here. It's good to see you.
Feel free to stand.
We are leaving crumbling buildings full of dust and they're full of judgment. We are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are leaving crumbling buildings full of dust and full of judgment. We are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are leaving crumbling buildings full of dust and full of judgment. Oh, we are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are leaving crumbling buildings full of dust and they're full of judgment. Oh, we are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are leaving. We are seeking it. Holy healing is full of hope and it's full of justice. And I've got a feeling that we're in the middle of it. I've got a feeling she'll see us to the end of it. We are leaving crumbling buildings full of dust and they're full of judgment. Oh, we are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are leaving. We are seeking it. Holy healing is full of hope and it's full of justice. And I've got a feeling that we're in the middle of it. I've got a feeling she'll see us to the end of it. We are leaving. We are leaving. We are leaving. Crumbling buildings full of dust and they're full of judgment. Oh, we are leaving violent teaching from those who refuse to learn from the best of us. We are seeking it. Holy healing, it's full of hope and it's full of justice. And I've got a feeling that we're in the middle of it. I've got a feeling she'll see us to the end of it.
However you're coming in this morning and leaving, you're in the middle of something. You're in the middle of your life, of this moment, of this week, of this administration, of all of this. I think for us to see hope, for us to feel it, for us to embody it, there's got to be a us. There's got to be something that's bigger than ourselves. And so the invitation is for a collective seeing of each other, a collective love. I want to thank you for being here, for engaging in a space like this. I want to give you all the grace to go into a week and feel all the feelings and know that there is a community of people that love you, that God loves you, and grateful for all of you.
See, when most of my Christianity, I was just thinking, listening to David and listening to your questions, most of my Christianity was prescriptive comfort. I was just really comfortable. And then that changed and it became an indescribable discomfort. And that is where we are. That we are so uncomfortable with each other, and I don't want to be in this much pain without you. You make it tolerable. We're full of hope and we're full of justice because of this collective group and the honesty and the map of integrity that's right here at this church. So I want to thank David for what he did and the empathy he just showed us. Can we give him a round of applause for how he just led us? So I'm going to ask, go into this week, and empathy is now a sin, so it makes it cool. So I want you to be empathetic with everybody around you, but before you do that, go bathe in self-compassion. Go receive that. And for now, be around the people that fill you up with hope and justice before you go around somebody that's going to deflate that from you. All right, we got this. We're in this together. If you want to talk to me or Larissa or David, Dominique, or even Matt, we'll be in the back of the room. If you need prayer, if you need encouragement, if you need an ounce of my anger to take with you, I will, part of my generosity, I will give that for you. Before you leave today, we do something that's a tradition here. It's a ritual. We stack the chairs to the side. This is a spiritual act. It's in Timothy 1:2. Where it comes from. So stack the chairs, love each other, love yourselves, and we'll see you next week.